So in this video, I want to talk about why some people would falsely label somebody a twin flame. What happens in order to do that, okay, on the inside. So let's dive right in. So I believe that many people who hear about twin flames long to have a twin flame as well, and then the next person they do have a special connection with, they automatically label like, this is my twin flame. This happens quite often, to be honest. And I was wondering, why does this happen? So I asked Spirit, and Spirit explained to me, yeah, well, if you, for example, experienced a childhood where you didn't get a lot of love, then, and careful with this one because this is a double-edged sword. We're going to talk about two different scenarios, okay? Because this implies to people who falsely label twin flames, but this also implies to twin flames, and this is like a bit tricky. So make sure to watch the entire video on that one. Actually, on all of my videos. But let's imagine you've had a childhood where you didn't get a lot of love. You've been neglected. That, of course, increases the desire of, I want that one person to truly love me. I want to be loved. I want to be nurtured. And I want to experience everything that I wanted to experience as a child and I didn't get. And then imagine that person hears about twin flames. And they're like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. Literally having the other half of your soul. And you know what I think about half souls? We're not half souls. It's like biological twins. When one fertilized egg split into two embryos, they're not half embryos, they're not half humans that come out, they're perfectly normal two separate people with a special connection. Okay, and this is what split twin flames are. This, of course, like the image, like there's this one person to always love you, and that one person to complete you, your perfect match, is something that one person that never really experienced that love thinks like, oh my God, this, I want this. And it may not even be like a conscious choice, like, oh, twin flame, I want to find my twin flame now. Many people are unfortunately like this. Oh, I've heard about twin flames, where's my twin flame? I want to find my twin flame. But also always say, the twin flame is nothing you can't find. I do have a video, how or where can I find my twin flame, something like this, where can I find my twin flame. If you're not a twin flame, because your twin flame is not incarnated, you won't find them. Or also, if you are a twin flame and it's not the right time yet, because you still have all of the deep unhealed stuff, then you cannot attract them either. You will attract them if you have one when the timing is right, and timing is energy. Okay, if you are already a bit developed to be ready to actually go on that twin flame journey, that can be long. And that's another thing. I always think, like, if you want to manifest true love, why try to manifest a twin flame? Are you not aware that this is a connection where you have to purge all of your shadows, and it usually takes years before you can actually be with that person? Why would you want that? Just try to manifest true love. Try to manifest like a high-level soulmate, or just don't label it, just true love. Try to find love, your one person, because even if it's not a twin flame, it could still be your perfect match and your forever person, and that person you feel that completes you, even though you're already complete. But every person that comes to you, and then of course you always create a bigger energy and you complement each other. So even though you already are a complete soul, you can still attract somebody to complement you, or who's just like you, whatever you prefer. So try to manifest that instead of twin flame. But now again, imagine this person who's never really experienced love hears about twin flames. Of course they want to have their twin flame, because you immediately put that on a pedestal, and it awakens all of that need and all of that longing they've had for since they were a little child. And remember, we get programmed in the first 7 years of our lives. You can research for Bruce Lipton here on YouTube. He is a doctor and used to be a professor for biology, who is also talking about manifesting from his expertise. It's very interesting. And I've already known this before, but he is also telling us we are getting programmed in the first 7 years of our lives. I always told my clients the root chakra is the chakra that is most important in the first 7 years of our lives. So if there's something happening there, then we don't have that sense of security. And somebody who has experienced that and they don't have that sense of security because they didn't get it at home, of course they want to go and find it in another person, and then they hear about twin flames and they're like, oh my god, this is exactly what I want. But that is not what a twin flame is, and that's the difficulty, because again, a twin flame is no one who comes to save you. They come to trigger the hell out of you and to help you grow and ascend and put you on this journey to have union afterwards. So those people who met and they felt a special connection and they stayed together harmoniously right away, it's not a twin flame. It would maybe be a soul twin. I do have videos on different kind of divine counterpart connections, but that's not a twin flame. A twin flame comes to help you grow, and not by doing it sitting right next to you, but usually by leaving so you can work on yourself and you don't get distracted by their presence. So yeah, this is like the core wound why somebody would want a twin flame. And then if you heard about twin flames and you desperately want to have that experience, it's no surprise that once they have a special connection, and that could be a karmic as well, because if you didn't learn your lessons with the last 5 guys or girls, then spirit is giving you an even stronger connection than before with the same issues, and it will be very harmonious in the beginning. It has to be. I always say, if you attract somebody who who's supposed to teach you, then they cannot be a jerk from day one, because you would put a wall up and they cannot even get close to you. So they have to get close to you in a very harmonious phase, and it feels like this super amazing connection in the beginning, and then it flips, because then your lesson starts. So it has to flip sooner or later. For some people it's within a couple of weeks, for some it may be a couple of years even. If they don't learn the lesson with that person and they just oppress their feelings and they try to detach, they would attract the next person and it would be even more intense than the first one. So it's very easy to label somebody a twin flame if you have an intense connection you've never had before, but that could still be karmic and may not have anything to do with a twin flame. You recognize a true twin flame by a rapid ascension and development, not by repeating old cycles over and over and over again. That's not a twin flame. A twin flame comes to really shoot you forwards in your development. Easy way to recognize that. But again, even if it's karmic, you can still turn them into your lifelong partner. I do have a video on that in the Twin Flame 101 playlist, because you can still manifest them becoming the love of your life after you have done your shadow work, not before that, afterwards. Very important. But again, so imagine this person who's always been longing for that one special person, hears about twin flames, has been dealing with karmics, and has that deep desire to have an intense connection. Then what do they manifest? An intense connection, and it will be an intense connection, not a twin flame, but it will be probably a karmic, to show them all of the lack mentality they've had before. Because if they already had healed that childhood core wound of neglect, then they could attract a divine counterpart. If it's not healed, then they most likely would attract somebody who shows them that wound is still there and to trigger them. But let's talk about true twin flames. True twin flames often have that same core wound, and this is where it gets tricky. But again, you can differentiate, am I dealing with a twin flame or not, by did I meet this person and it immediately changed my life and I started overthinking everything, like I was unhappy with my job, so I got a new job. I was unhappy where I lived, so I got a new place. I was unhappy with some friends, so I got a new friendship circle and I got into, meditation, and I did my work. That's a twin flame. Yeah, a twin flame, you would question everything in your life and change everything that no longer suits you, because you're stepping into divine energy, out of distorted intuition. Of course, that may take, it's not nothing that happens within like 2 weeks. It may take years, yes, but still you would have this healing process. That is how you can be sure you're dealing with a twin flame, or at least a catalyst or divine counterpart, okay? Otherwise, it's not a twin flame and not really a catalyst either, or any kind of divine counterpart. Twin flames often, again, have that same core wound, because twin flames are often incarnated in families where there are issues to overcome, Why? Because imagine like a trampoline. In order to get really high, you have to get really low first. The deeper you jump into that cloth, the higher you get. Or like an arrow, the more you pull it back in your bow, the faster and further it goes forward. So this is like a template for twin flames, that often they have had a very hard life, because the darker the shadows, the more you have that desire, to inner desire and wish to get to the light, and that can be like a motor to push you forward on your journey. So this thing I was talking about with, okay, I've never received love in childhood, can happen to true twin flames, as well as people who just long for a twin flame. But even the first category, again, you can still manifest true love. It has nothing to do with twin flame. Don't try to manifest twin flame. Try to manifest true love, and first overcome that core wound. If you've already started working on that, you can attract a twin flame if you have one, or another kind of divine counterpart, like a very amazing soulmate connection. And then soulmates, that's another thing, misconception. Many people think soulmates are always harmonious. No, soulmate can trigger you just like a twin flame can, to be honest, or at least close to that, because everybody's your mirror. So if you have that core wound, soulmate will not come to cover that up. It will come to point into that. But yeah, that is basically the reason why people would long for a twin flame and go looking for a twin flame, searching for their twin flame. It's because it speaks to them, to a lack they do have. So if this resonates with you, I would suggest you tackle that topic, and you tackle those usually mother issues, and then afterwards you can attract a divine counterpart. Because remember what I said about twin flames would apply to you too, even if you're not a twin flame. Maybe you are, some of you, and you just haven't met them yet, possible as well. But if you have been down as your childhood, then your soul chose that because your soul wanted to have the different experience. You probably hear Abraham Hicks talk about that as well. Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks, they call it contrast. The more contrast you experience, the more it gets into your vortex that you want to experience the opposite. And once you heal your stuff and you get out of your way by negative thinking, then all of the good stuff you have been wanting can finally come. So you can attract that one person who absolutely puts you on a pedestal and loves you and adores you and completes you. But not if you're still in negative thinking. Or Neil Donald Walsh, he wrote Conversations with God, good book, I can only recommend it. He also wrote that you have to experience what you are not in order to find out who you are. Which means if you experience lack of love, then you know that you're different than those people you've experienced. And then you can learn to find that love within you. And remember, you only attract what you are. Once you find that I am love, I'm truly love. And that does not mean just I'm good to everybody else. That's the big mistake what many people do. If they've been neglected, they think like, oh, I don't want anybody else to feel that way, so I'm always there for everybody else. It's good, yes. But they often do it on the cost of themselves. And they neglect themselves. But unfortunately, when you neglect yourself, you're showing the universe, I don't deserve to be loved, and you cannot attract love because you're sending out the signal, I don't deserve to be loved. Make sure you are there for yourself first, and then when you have spare energy, you can be there for anybody else. But that's, the people who always help everybody and then they need help and nobody's there. You know those people, right? Because they don't set boundaries. They always put themselves and their own needs last. And by that, they're proving to the universe, I don't deserve to be put first. So they will, as long as they're in this energy, they will never, ever, ever, ever attract somebody who puts them first. This does not mean to be a narcissist or to be arrogant or anything or egoistic, because when you're spiritual, you feel connected to other people. Of course, you still help. You help people in need. But you don't always put other people in front of your own needs. Okay, so it's not like you don't turn from I don't help everybody to I help no one. There is a middle ground. That's the sweet spot to find. And then you can attract your divine counterpart. May it be a twin flame or a soulmate or whatever. But again, that is something that has been determined before you were born. It's nothing you can't choose. I was trying to find a good spot. That's why I'm not more like over here, my usual place, but now the sun found me. But that's okay, because we are nearly finished. So to sum it up, yes, people who want to find a twin flame want to because they have this deep lack mentality, because they have never experienced that, and now they want to experience that, and so they go looking for a twin flame, and next person, they have a special connection, they're like, you're my twin flame. Not a healthy thing to do. But twin flames will have experienced the same thing, because, and that, again, it's not just for twin flames, it's for everybody. When you have been down, it can put you further up, and a soul that chose to go through an ascension process will mostly likely have chosen a childhood where they have been very much down, so they can go very high up. So this is connected. But again, even if you're not a twin flame, you definitely have a divine counterpart. Doesn't matter the label, you do have your person, love of your life, running on this earth somewhere, that is just waiting for you to step into your energy and your power, because they're probably longing for you as well. Okay, so it's your job to get into your divine mode by healing that old stuff and ditch the label. Just trust that once you get out of here and you're up there you will meet your love. But your love is not coming down here to pull you up there. It's not possible. You have to meet up there, because this is the energy of love. This is the energy of fear. Okay, and you cannot find love in the energy of fear. You have to be in the energy of love up there first to attract love. Not possible to find it down here. I hope it helped. If it did and you're interested in personal coaching, like, subscribe. You can reach out for personal coaching. You will find my contact information below, as well as a link to my price list. And now YouTube is going to suggest videos here. Make sure you check out my other content. Make sure you check out my playlists that I created for you for lots of information. And I wish you all the best. Now, bye-bye.